Get your black ass on the ground before I make you. Officer Daniel Hayes barks this at Benjamin Adams beside the billionaire's own swimming pool. Benjamin raises his hands, still dripping pool water. Hayes slams him face first into scorching concrete. Handcuffs snap tight enough to cut circulation. "Daddy!" His 8-year-old daughter screams from the kitchen window. Hayes plants his boot on Benjamin's neck. "Shut that kid up or I'll charge you with disturbing the peace, too." He leans down, voice dropping to a whisper. "Think your money makes you untouchable? Think again." 20 neighbors film over pristine hedges. Rich man down explodes across every platform. The world watches a tech mogul get treated like street trash at his own home. But Hayes just made the worst mistake of his career. One phone call will destroy him. Federal agents are already watching. A corruption network spanning 3 counties is about to crumble. This billionaire's humiliation becomes their reckoning. Here's how it really went down. 6 hours earlier, Benjamin Adams lives the kind of Saturday most people only dream about. His Westfield County estate sprawls across 4 manicured acres behind wrought iron gates and limestone walls. Property records show he paid $3.2 million cash in 2019. No mortgage, no monthly payments, just the quiet satisfaction of financial freedom earned through 2 decades building tech startups from absolutely nothing. Benjamin floats on an inflatable chair in his infinity pool. Crystal clear water reflects the cloudless Connecticut sky above. His daughter Emma splashes nearby, her infectious laughter echoing off imported Italian stonework that cost more than most people's entire houses. His wife Sarah tends their outdoor kitchen's commercial-grade grill, carefully preparing herb-crusted vegetables and marinated chicken. The rich smell of rosemary and olive oil drifts through perfectly still summer air. This represents success without the spotlight or ego. Benjamin deliberately maintains a low profile despite his estimated $40 million net worth. No flashy Lamborghinis or Ferraris in the circular driveway, just a modest Tesla Model S and Sarah's practical Volvo SUV. No social media presence documenting his luxurious lifestyle. No magazine interviews about his business empire or investment portfolio. His neighbors know him as the quiet guy who waves politely from his driveway and donates anonymously to local school fundraisers and youth sports leagues throughout the community. The Adams family relocated here 3 years ago specifically for privacy and safety considerations. Westfield County promised both crucial advantages. Gated community featuring 24-hour private security patrols and surveillance systems. Pristine streets maintained through hefty homeowner association fees collected quarterly. Average household income pushing $200,000 annually among residents. The kind of exclusive suburban enclave where police typically respond to complaints about leaf blower noise ordinances, not violent crime or property disputes. Benjamin's personal success story reads like a textbook American dream narrative. Born in Detroit to working-class parents who sacrificed everything for his education and opportunities. Full academic scholarship to MIT for computer science. Started his first software company in a cramped shared apartment with 2 college roommates. Sold that initial venture for $8 million at 26 years old. Subsequently built and sold 3 additional companies by his 40th birthday celebration. Never forgot his humble origins or stopped appreciating his extraordinary fortune and blessings. The poolside scene embodies perfect domestic tranquility. Emma executes a spectacular cannonball into the deep end, sending chlorinated waves splashing across Benjamin's relaxed legs and expensive swim shorts. He laughs genuinely and checks his Apple Watch for the time. 2:30 p.m. exactly. Perfect timing for the grass-fed burgers Sarah plans to start grilling shortly on their state-of-the-art equipment. Their established weekend ritual involves extended family pool time followed by leisurely grilled dinners on their expansive stone patio overlooking professionally maintained gardens. Everything feels completely normal today. Predictable, safe, secure, protected. Benjamin represents everything Westfield County markets to potential residents. Successful entrepreneur who values family over flash. Generous community member who supports local causes without seeking recognition. Devoted father who prioritizes quality time over endless business meetings. Today follows their established weekend pattern. Sarah handles food preparation while Benjamin entertains Emma with swimming games. Later, they'll eat dinner on the patio, discussing Emma's upcoming school year and weekend plans. The couple chose this house after months of research. They wanted excellent schools for Emma, safe streets where she could ride her bicycle without supervision, close proximity to Benjamin's Hartford office, but far enough to maintain work-life boundaries. Benjamin adjusts his position in the floating chair, savoring complete relaxation. Monday brings investor meetings and deadlines. Today belongs to my family. In 20 minutes, their peaceful world explodes forever. The anonymous call comes at 2:51 p.m. exactly. I need to report suspicious activity at 847 Meadowbrook Lane. The voice sounds nervous, practiced, like someone reading from a carefully prepared script. There's an unknown black male in the backyard pool area. He doesn't belong here. Westfield County dispatcher Jennifer Walsh types the address into her computer system immediately. The property belongs to Benjamin Adams, according to county records. No previous complaints filed, no outstanding warrants, clean record stretching back 3 years of residence. Can you describe the specific suspicious behavior? Walsh asks, following standard protocol. He's just there, swimming around, acting like he owns the place. A deliberate pause. Look, I know all my neighbors personally. This guy definitely isn't one of them. Could be casing the house for burglary. The caller hangs up abruptly before providing his name or contact information. Officer Daniel Hayes monitors radio traffic from his patrol car exactly 2 miles away. When Walsh broadcasts the trespassing call across all units, Hayes responds immediately without hesitation. Unit 23 responding, ETA 17 minutes. 17 minutes represents record time for this distance. For a nonviolent trespassing call in a historically low-crime neighborhood, that response time breaks standard department protocol. Established procedure requires backup confirmation before engaging unknown subjects on private property without immediate danger present. Hayes doesn't request backup assistance. His Crown Victoria accelerates through residential streets toward Meadowbrook Lane. He passes 3 other patrol units closer to the reported address. None receive dispatch instructions. Hayes claims this call personally, despite geographic logistics suggesting other officers should respond first. The Crown Victoria turns onto Meadowbrook Lane at 3:08 p.m. precisely. Expensive colonial houses line both sides of the tree-shaded street. BMW sedans and Mercedes SUVs fill circular driveways. American flags flutter from copper poles mounted on perfectly maintained lawns. The kind of exclusive neighborhood where police visits usually involve friendly waves and cordial conversations about community fundraising events. Hayes parks his vehicle directly across from 847 Meadowbrook Lane. Through ornate iron gates and manicured landscaping, he observes Benjamin floating peacefully in the infinity pool. Sarah continues grilling vegetables on their outdoor patio. Emma splashes happily with pool toys in the shallow end. The entire scene appears completely normal. Domestic, harmless, zero suspicious activity visible. Hayes reaches for his radio to report initial observations. Standard protocol requires officers to observe for several minutes before approaching private property. Assess the actual situation thoroughly. Confirm genuine suspicious behavior exists. Contact property owners through proper channels if necessary. Instead, Hayes clips the radio back to his belt unused. Hayes exits his patrol car and approaches the front gate with unusual urgency. His right hand rests on his service weapon holster. His jaw sets in grim determination, like someone preparing for serious confrontation rather than routine inquiry or neighborly conversation. Benjamin notices the uniformed figure approaching through the gate. He waves politely from the pool's center, naturally assuming Hayes needs directions or wants to discuss neighborhood watch programs. Police interactions in Westfield County typically involve friendly community relations. Hayes doesn't wave back or acknowledge the greeting. The officer reaches the electronic gate and presses the call button aggressively. 3 sharp buzzes echo through the estate's intercom system. The sound cuts through peaceful afternoon air like alarm bells. "Can I help you, officer?" Benjamin calls out pleasantly, swimming toward the pool's edge with genuine concern. Hayes' response comes loaded with suspicion and barely controlled aggression. "Police department, I need you to step out of the pool immediately, now!" Benjamin's friendly smile fades as the hostile tone registers. He's dealt with law enforcement during business meetings. This feels different, threatening. "Is there a problem, officer?" Benjamin asks while swimming to the steps. Water drips from his swim trunks onto heated stone. Hayes watches with predatory intensity. His hand moves toward his weapon. Just get out and keep your hands visible. Sarah looks up from the grill, confusion spreading across her face. Emma stops playing with her toys. Something feels terribly wrong about this entire dangerous encounter unfolding before their family. Benjamin steps out of the pool slowly, water streaming from his designer swim trunks onto imported stone decking. He raises his hands instinctively, though no direct order was given. Every movement is deliberate and non-threatening. Hayes watches like a predator studying prey. Turn around, hands behind your back. Officer, I live here. This is my home. Benjamin's voice remains calm despite rising confusion. Can you tell me what this is about? Hayes ignores the question completely. I said turn around. Sarah approaches from the outdoor kitchen, dish towel in hand. Excuse me, what's happening here? Her tone carries the authority of someone accustomed to being heard and respected. Hayes shifts his attention to her with visible annoyance. Ma'am, step back. This doesn't concern you. This is our property, my husband. It absolutely concerns me. Emma watches from the pool's shallow end, her 8-year-old mind struggling to process adult tension she's never witnessed before. Her pool toys float forgotten around her small frame. Hayes pulls handcuffs from his duty belt with practiced efficiency. The metal catches afternoon sunlight, creating brief flashes across the pristine patio. Sir, place your hands behind your back. You're being detained for questioning. Oh, Benjamin complies while maintaining steady eye contact. The handcuffs click shut with mechanical precision. Cold steel bites into his wrists, cutting off circulation almost immediately. The sound echoes off surrounding stone walls like gunshots. Daddy! Emma's voice cracks with genuine fear. Hayes positions Benjamin face down on the scorching concrete beside the pool. The surface burns against Benjamin's bare chest and legs. Chlorine smell mixes with heated stone and his own sweat. Hayes plants his knee firmly between Benjamin's shoulder blades, applying unnecessary pressure. This is ridiculous, Sarah snaps, pulling out her phone. I'm calling our attorney. Put the phone down, Hayes commands sharply. Nobody calls anybody until I'm finished here. Sarah ignores him and starts dialing. Hayes' hand moves toward his weapon again, a subtle but unmistakable threat. The gesture stops Sarah mid-dial. 20 neighbors emerge from their air-conditioned homes, drawn by commotion in their usually peaceful enclave. Phone cameras appear like digital vultures circling roadkill. Videos begin uploading to social media platforms within seconds. Mrs. Patterson from next door films through her rose bushes. The Johnsons live stream from their front porch. The Miller family watches from their second-story window. Each angle captures Benjamin's humiliation from slightly different perspectives. Hayes seems energized by the growing audience. His voice projects louder, more authoritative. We received reports of suspicious activity at this address, possible trespassing. Trespassing? Benjamin's voice muffles against concrete. I own this property. Sure you do. Hayes applies more pressure with his knee. That's what they all say. Emma starts crying, her sobs carrying across the water and stone surfaces. The sound pierces through afternoon heat like broken glass. Sarah moves toward their daughter instinctively. Stay where you are, Hayes barks. Nobody moves without permission. Sarah freezes, torn between maternal instinct and fear of escalating an already dangerous situation. Her hands shake visibly as she watches her husband's degradation unfold. Benjamin's expensive Rolex presses painfully into his wrist beneath the handcuffs. The same watch he wore during board meetings with Fortune 500 executives. The same watch he wore while signing multi-million-dollar acquisition deals. Now it cuts into his skin while he lies helpless on his own property. Hayes leans down close to Benjamin's ear, voice dropping to a threatening whisper. Think your money makes you untouchable? Think again. I've dealt with your kind before. The words carry clear racial undertones that make Sarah gasp audibly. Several neighbors lower their phones, suddenly uncomfortable with documenting what's becoming obvious misconduct. But the videos keep recording. Rich Man Down starts trending across Twitter and Instagram. The footage spreads exponentially as users share, comment, and react. Thousands of strangers watch Benjamin's humiliation from their own comfortable homes. Hayes straightens up, surveying his handiwork with visible satisfaction. Benjamin Adams, tech mogul worth $40 million, lies helpless on concrete while his wife and daughter watch in horror. The power dynamic feels intoxicating to someone used to petty traffic stops and noise complaints. "Where's your identification?" Hayes demands. "In the house," Benjamin responds through gritted teeth. Convenient. Probably fake anyway. Sarah's anger finally overrides her caution. "This is harassment. Pure and simple." Hayes rounds on her with renewed aggression. "Lady, you want to join him on the ground? Keep running your mouth and find out." The threat hangs in summer air like humidity, heavy, suffocating, dangerous. Emma's crying intensifies, echoing off stone walls and manicured landscaping. Her childhood innocence shatters against adult cruelty and injustice. This moment will replay in her nightmares for years to come. Benjamin makes a decision that will change everything. Despite his compromised position, despite the handcuffs, despite Hayes' knee grinding into his spine, he speaks clearly and calmly. "I'd like to make one phone call." Hayes' confident laughter stops abruptly. Something in Benjamin's calm, measured tone suggests legal knowledge and constitutional preparation, the confidence of someone who understands legal systems and constitutional rights. But Hayes has committed far too deep to back down now from this escalating confrontation. The next 5 minutes will systematically destroy multiple careers, topple corrupt networks, and prove that justice sometimes wears expensive swimwear instead of badges. Benjamin's request hangs in the air like a loaded weapon. Hayes considers denying it completely, but something about Benjamin's calm confidence unsettles him deeply. The way he spoke about Connecticut law with precision, the certainty in his voice despite being handcuffed face down on concrete. "Fine," Hayes snaps with visible irritation. "One call. Make it quick." Sarah retrieves Benjamin's phone from the patio table with trembling fingers. Her hands shake as she kneels beside her husband, holding the device carefully to his ear. Hayes watches suspiciously, tension radiating from his rigid posture. Benjamin speaks with crystal clarity. "This is Benjamin Adams. I need to speak with Councilwoman Martinez immediately. Tell her it's urgent." Hayes' expression shifts from annoyance to genuine confusion. Councilwoman Martinez chairs the Public Safety Committee. She directly oversees police department budgets, policies, and personnel decisions. "Tell her I'm currently detained at my residence by Officer Daniel Hayes, badge number 247. She'll want to know about this situation immediately." Hayes' face drains of all colors. Benjamin's detailed knowledge suggests intimate familiarity with police oversight mechanisms and internal procedures. The call connects within 30 seconds of dialing. "Councilwoman Martinez, this is Benjamin Adams. We met at the education fundraiser last month." Benjamin's voice remains perfectly steady despite his compromised position. "I'm calling from my pool deck, where I'm currently handcuffed by one of your officers for swimming in my own backyard." Hayes lunges desperately for the phone, but Sarah pulls back protectively. "Yes, ma'am. 847 Meadowbrook Lane. Officer Hayes responded to an anonymous trespassing call about my presence here." Benjamin pauses, listening carefully. "No, ma'am. I wasn't asked for identification. No warrant was presented. I was handcuffed immediately upon contact." Hayes paces frantically now, his radio crackling with increasing frequency. Other units are being redirected to different emergency calls. His repeated backup requests go completely unanswered. "Absolutely, Councilwoman. Body cameras should have captured everything in detail." Benjamin's tone hardens noticeably. "I assume the department's recording equipment is functioning properly today?" Hayes reaches for his body camera instinctively, confirming it's been recording this entire encounter meticulously. Every spoken word, every physical action, every clear violation of department protocol. "Thank you, ma'am. Yes, I'll remain calm while we wait for your response." Benjamin nods slightly to Sarah, who ends the call immediately. The silence that follows feels absolutely thunderous. 20 neighbors continue filming from various angles, sensing they're witnessing something historically significant. Hayes' radio suddenly explodes with urgent chatter. "Unit 23, respond immediately. Unit 23, status?" Hayes keys his radio with shaking hands. "Unit 23, on scene at reported trespassing. Unit 23, return to station immediately. Sergeant Morrison en route." Hayes' face goes pale. Morrison handles internal affairs and disciplinary actions. His involvement means serious authority is paying attention. Copy. Dispatch. Hayes turns back to Benjamin, uncertainty creeping into his previously confident voice. Sir, I need you to remain calm while we sort this situation out. Benjamin's response carries quiet but unmistakable authority. Officer Hayes, I've been calm throughout this entire encounter. The question is whether you'll extend the same professional courtesy. More radio chatter fills the air. Additional units are dispatched, but not as Hayes's backup. They're coming to investigate Hayes. Sarah films with renewed purpose, documenting the power shift. Emma has stopped crying. Hayes realizes his career hangs in the balance. The routine call has transformed into a career-ending nightmare. Benjamin Adams isn't just another wealthy homeowner. He's someone with direct access to powerful officials who control police funding and personnel decisions. The handcuffs suddenly feel like shackles around Hayes' future rather than Benjamin's wrists. Sirens wail closer. Reckoning is beginning. Sergeant Morrison arrives 12 minutes later, his squad car blocking Hayes' escape route. Morrison's weathered face shows no emotion as he surveys the scene. Benjamin remains handcuffed on burning concrete while 20 phones continue recording from neighboring yards. Morrison approaches Hayes with measured steps. Release the subject immediately. Hayes hesitates, his authority evaporating like morning mist. Sergeant, we received a trespassing call. I said release him. Now. The handcuffs click open with mechanical finality. Benjamin sits up slowly, rubbing circulation back into his wrists. The concrete has left angry red marks across his chest and arms. Morrison's radio crackles with dispatch updates. All units be advised. Internal Affairs is responding to 847 Meadowbrook Lane. Secure the scene for investigation. Sarah helps Benjamin to his feet. Emma runs from the pool into her father's arms, tears streaming down her small face. The family reunion plays out against a backdrop of neighborhood chaos and clicking phone cameras. Mr. Adams, Morrison says formally, I apologize for this incident. We'll need your statement for our investigation. Benjamin nods, his businessman instincts taking control. I'll cooperate fully, but I want everything documented properly. 20 miles away, investigative journalist Sarah Mitchell receives a tip that will change everything. The caller's voice sounds nervous, almost scared. You need to look into Officer Daniel Hayes, badge number 247. Today's incident isn't isolated. Sarah's fingers fly across her keyboard, accessing databases most civilians never see. Public records, court filings, internal affairs complaints. The digital breadcrumbs lead to disturbing patterns. Her first search reveals Hayes' employment history. Hired 5 years ago after transfers from 2 other departments. No disciplinary actions listed publicly. Clean record on paper. But Sarah knows where to dig deeper. She contacts Detective Tom Wilson at Internal Affairs, a source she's cultivated over 3 years of covering police misconduct cases. Wilson agrees to meet at their usual coffee shop, choosing a corner table away from other customers. What do you know about Daniel Hayes? Sarah asks without preamble. Wilson's expression darkens. He slides a manila folder across the scratched table surface. Everything I'm not supposed to tell you? The folder contains photocopied documents spanning Hayes' 5-year career, 23 formal complaints filed against him, each one dismissed or buried through procedural technicalities. Sarah's journalism training kicks into high gear as she absorbs the disturbing details. Complaint #1. Excessive force during a traffic stop of an African-American college student. Dismissed due to insufficient evidence despite witness statements. Complaint #5. Racial profiling in an upscale shopping district. Dismissed when the complainant mysteriously withdrew the statement. Complaint #12. Threatening behavior toward Hispanic family during noise complaint. Dismissed when security footage mysteriously vanished. Complaint #18. Physical assault during arrest of black teenager at community center. Dismissed when witnesses refused to testify after anonymous threats. Every complaint follows identical patterns. Minority victims in affluent neighborhoods, excessive force escalating from minor infractions, evidence disappearing, witnesses intimidated into silence. How is this possible? Sarah whispers, photographing documents with her phone. Wilson leans closer, lowering his voice. Hayes has protection. Union representation gets aggressive with complaint investigations. Files disappear. Witnesses get scared. Who's protecting him? Robert Clark, police union president. Hayes pays him $50,000 annually in legal fees through his family trust fund. Sarah's investigative instincts ignite. Union corruption, financial kickbacks, systematic complaint suppression. This story extends far beyond one bad officer. There's more, Wilson continues. Hayes' mother-in-law is Judge Patricia Hayes. She's dismissed every case involving Hayes that reached her courtroom. The corruption network crystallizes in Sarah's mind. Officer Hayes commits violations. Union President Clark buries complaints. Judge Hayes dismisses any cases that survive internal review. A perfect system designed to protect abusive police behavior. I need documentation, Sarah says. Wilson slides another folder across the table. Financial records. Hayes Family Trust makes regular payments to Clark's consulting company, $50,000 per year for the past 3 years. Sarah photographs bank statements, payment receipts, and trust fund documentation. The paper trail proves systematic corruption spanning multiple government levels. Her phone buzzes with breaking news alerts. Videos from Benjamin Adams' arrest are going viral across social media platforms. #rich man down trends nationally. #police accountability follows closely behind. But social media fury isn't enough. Sarah needs smoking gun evidence to destroy this corruption network permanently. I need to speak with other victims, she tells Wilson. That's the problem. Most victims are terrified to talk. Hayes targets people in vulnerable positions. College students, young families, recent immigrants, people who can't fight back effectively. Sarah thinks strategically. Benjamin Adams represents something different. Wealthy, connected, fearless. Someone with resources to challenge the system rather than be crushed by it. Her next call goes to Benjamin directly. Mr. Adams, this is Sarah Mitchell from the Hartford Observer. I'm investigating Officer Hayes' complaint history. We need to talk. They meet at Benjamin's estate 2 hours later. The pool area where his humiliation occurred now serves as an impromptu war room. Sarah spreads documents across the patio table while Benjamin reviews each page methodically. 23 complaints, Benjamin says quietly, all dismissed. All involving minority victims in affluent areas, Sarah adds. The pattern is undeniable. Benjamin studies financial records linking Hayes to union corruption. His business background allows him to decode the money trail quickly. Trust fund payments, consulting fees, legal retainers, all designed to obscure systematic bribery. This goes beyond Hayes, Benjamin concludes. It's institutional. Sarah nods. Clark protects Hayes through union influence. Judge Hayes protects both through judicial manipulation. They've created an accountability firewall. Benjamin's phone rings. Councilwoman Martinez called back with disturbing updates. Benjamin, I've reviewed Hayes' file. On paper, he appears exemplary. Commendations, community service awards, perfect evaluation scores. That's impossible based on what I experienced. I agree. Someone's been sanitizing his record systematically. I'm calling for an external investigation immediately. Benjamin hangs up and turns to Sarah. How do we expose this? We need victims willing to testify. People Hayes targeted who were too scared to speak before. And if they're still scared? Sarah smiles grimly. That's where your influence becomes crucial. You have credibility they lack, resources they don't possess, platform they can't access. Benjamin makes a decision that will topple corrupt networks across 3 counties. Let's find them. The investigation that follows will uncover federal crimes, destroy political careers, and prove that justice sometimes requires billionaire-level resources to achieve. Sarah begins making calls to documented complainants from outside Benjamin's estate. Many hang up immediately upon hearing Hayes' name. Others listen, but refuse to participate. Fear runs deep in systematically oppressed communities. 3 victims eventually agree to meet secretly. College student Marcus Johnson, restaurant owner Maria Santos, retired teacher David Thompson. Each carries horrific stories involving Hayes' escalating misconduct. Marcus Johnson's voice shakes, recounting his encounter. Hayes pulled me over for driving suspiciously through my own neighborhood. When I asked why, he slammed my face against the hood. Said I was getting uppity. Maria Santos describes systematic harassment. Hayes demanded free meals for protection services. When I refused, he wrote bogus health violations. My business nearly closed before I agreed to pay. David Thompson's story proves most disturbing. Hayes arrested my 16-year-old grandson for loitering at the community center where he volunteers. During booking, Hayes whispered that certain neighborhoods need respect. Each testimony reveals identical patterns: racial targeting, escalating intimidation, systematic abuse, the same behaviors Benjamin experienced but without resources for fighting back. Sarah documents everything meticulously: video interviews, written statements, supporting evidence, foundation for federal civil rights investigations. Benjamin realizes his privilege carries responsibility. His wealth creates opportunities for justice these victims never possessed. Together, they represent an absolutely unstoppable force for accountability. Comment below if you've witnessed similar police accountability failures. This investigation uncovers shocking federal connections. Robert Clark receives the emergency call at 6 p.m. sharp. The police union president's voice carries barely controlled fury as he listens to Hayes's panicked explanation of the afternoon's disaster. "You handcuffed Benjamin Adams, the tech billionaire?" Clark's knuckles whiten around his phone. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Hayes stammers through excuses about anonymous tips and standard procedures. Clark cuts him off with vicious precision. "Shut up and listen carefully. You're about to face the fight of your career. Adams has connections reaching into City Hall, the state legislature, and federal oversight committees. One phone call from him could trigger Justice Department investigations." Clark immediately activates the police union's crisis management protocols. Within 30 minutes, 3 lawyers arrive at Hayes's home. By 8 p.m., a carefully crafted media statement lands in every local newsroom inbox. Officer Daniel Hayes responded appropriately to credible reports of suspicious activity. The Westfield Police Officers Union stands firmly behind our members' professional conduct during this routine community safety investigation. The statement deliberately omits crucial details. No mention of handcuffs, no acknowledgement of excessive force, no reference to Benjamin's humiliation or family trauma. Clark schedules an emergency meeting with Chief Robert Stone for 7 a.m. They've protected Hayes through 23 previous complaints using identical strategies: discredit accusers, muddy waters, mobilize union solidarity. But Benjamin Adams presents unprecedented challenges. Local television stations receive anonymous tips about Benjamin's troubling business practices and suspicious activities. Clark's allies craft narratives portraying Hayes as a dedicated officer facing wealthy retaliation. Channel 8's evening broadcast features edited segments questioning whether economic privilege should exempt individuals from standard police procedures. No footage from Benjamin's arrest appears. Channel 12 runs a piece about Hayes's volunteer work and military service. They interview neighbors praising his neighborhood safety dedication. Clark's strategy targets Benjamin's credibility systematically, plant doubts about his motives, suggest he's weaponizing wealth against hard-working police officers, frame the incident as elite entitlement versus blue-collar public service. The union launches coordinated social media campaigns. #BackTheBlue hashtags flood platforms. Hayes receives hundreds of supportive messages from officers statewide. The narrative gains momentum among law enforcement sympathizers. Clark contacts Judge Patricia Hayes directly, though their conversation remains deliberately brief and coded. "Patricia, we need to discuss scheduling conflicts for upcoming cases. Several matters may require your immediate attention." Hayes understands the subtext perfectly. Any legal challenges related to her son-in-law will face aggressive judicial scrutiny and procedural delays. But Clark underestimates Benjamin's resources and determination. Benjamin's attorney, Margaret Foster, arrives at his estate by 9 p.m. She brings devastating news about the union's counterstrike capabilities. "They're going full scorched earth," Foster explains. "Character assassination, media manipulation, legal intimidation. This is their standard playbook for high-profile complaints." "What are our options?" "We fight back harder, but understand the costs. They'll investigate your business dealings, scrutinize your tax records, harass your employees and associates, make your life professionally and personally miserable." Benjamin considers the warning carefully. His family's safety concerns compete with justice obligations. Emma still wakes up crying from nightmares about her father's arrest. Sarah worries about targeted retaliation against their children. "There's something else," Foster continues. "I received an anonymous call this afternoon. Someone claiming to be a police officer. They said wealthy troublemakers should be careful about walking alone after dark." The threat hangs heavy in the evening air. Clark's intimidation tactics extend beyond legal and media warfare. Physical safety now enters the equation. Benjamin makes a decision that surprises his attorney. Double our security. Hire private investigators. Document everything they do to us. His voice carries steel determination. They want to play hardball? Let's show them what real resources look like. Foster nods approvingly. I'll need a retainer of $200,000 for comprehensive legal warfare. Done. That night, anonymous vandals spray paint racial slurs across Benjamin's gates. Security cameras capture 3 figures in dark clothing, but license plates remain obscured. The message is crystal clear. Back down or face escalation. Sarah Mitchell receives similar intimidation. Her editor calls an emergency meeting claiming advertiser pressure about her Hayes investigation. Major sponsors threaten to pull contracts if the story continues. Maybe we should reconsider this angle, her editor suggests nervously. Focus on broader police reform instead of individual accusations. Sarah recognizes the union's influence operation. Clark has weaponized economic pressure against coverage, but Benjamin's support changes everything. The next morning, Benjamin's foundation announces a $2 million grant for investigative journalism focusing on police accountability. Sarah Mitchell receives a personal fellowship covering her salary for 3 years. Money talks louder than intimidation, Benjamin tells her during their strategy session. Let's see how far their threats reach. According to union representatives, Hayes followed standard procedures and acted appropriately throughout the encounter. They maintain that all allegations are unfounded and motivated by personal animosity. The battle lines are clearly drawn. Union corruption versus billionaire accountability. Institutional protection versus individual justice. The next phase will ultimately determine whether money or badges hold ultimate power. The FBI arrives Tuesday morning, their unmarked sedan parking across from Benjamin's estate. Special Agent Lisa Rodriguez carries credentials that make local police nervous. Her Civil Rights Division investigates systematic police misconduct across 3 states. Benjamin's Monday night call to Senator Elizabeth Warren triggered federal attention. Warren chairs the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee on Law Enforcement Oversight. Her office contacted Justice Department officials within hours. Mr. Adams, Rodriguez says during their poolside meeting, your case represents more than isolated misconduct. Our investigation suggests broader corruption networks spanning multiple jurisdictions. Benjamin processes this carefully. His personal humiliation uncovered federal crimes. Hayes's actions weren't random brutality. They were systematic civil rights violations protected by institutional corruption. How extensive is the network? 3 counties, 12 officers with similar complaint patterns, all protected by identical union strategies and judicial dismissals. Your incident provided visibility needed for federal intervention. Rodriguez explains the FBI's investigation powers. Pattern violations, conspiracy to deny rights, systematic corruption, federal charges carrying 20-year sentences. We need your cooperation for a comprehensive investigation. What does that involve? Complete documentation of your experience, testimony before federal grand juries, potential threats against your family. This isn't a civil lawsuit, it's criminal prosecution of organized corruption. Benjamin realizes stakes have escalated beyond personal justice. Federal investigators see his case as a keystone for dismantling systematic abuse networks. His privilege provides the platform for exposing institutional racism other victims couldn't access. But federal investigations take years. His family faces continued intimidation while bureaucratic processes advance. Emma still has nightmares. We've been monitoring Hayes for 18 months. Your incident accelerated our timeline, but we already suspected his corruption. This stuns Benjamin completely. Federal agents were already watching Hayes when his pool afternoon exploded into controversy. His phone call didn't create federal interest. It provided the public justification for existing investigations. Why didn't you intervene earlier? We needed clear evidence of systematic violations. Previous victims were too intimidated. You have resources they lack. Benjamin feels responsibility settling on his shoulders. 12 officers, 3 counties, dozens of victims too scared to speak. His wealth creates opportunities for justice that others never possessed. Rodriguez slides a folder across the table. These are financial records we've obtained through federal warrants. Hayes's corruption extends to drug trafficking, illegal gambling operations, and systematic extortion of local businesses. The documents reveal shocking criminal enterprises. Hayes collected protection payments from drug dealers in exchange for warning about raids. He shook down restaurant owners for free meals and cash payments. His badge enabled systematic racketeering operations. Union President Clark receives percentage cuts from all criminal proceeds. Judge Hayes dismissed cases in exchange for campaign contributions channeled through shell companies. This is organized crime wearing police uniforms. Benjamin studies financial evidence methodically. Wire transfers, shell company formations, campaign finance violations, money laundering through multiple bank accounts. Federal prosecutors will destroy this network completely. What happens to my family's safety during your investigation? We're arranging federal witness protection protocols. Temporary relocation if necessary. 24-hour security details. We take retaliation threats seriously. That evening, Benjamin makes the most difficult decision of his life. He accepts federal protection in exchange for complete cooperation with criminal prosecutions. His family's peaceful existence ends permanently. Their names will forever be associated with police corruption scandals. Sarah cries when he explains the situation. Emma doesn't understand why they can't swim in their own pool anymore without armed guards watching from behind trees. But justice demands sacrifices from those with power. Federal agents monitor their home through the long night. Tomorrow brings grand jury subpoenas and formal charges. The real battle is just now beginning to unfold systematically across federal courtrooms. Detective Tom Wilson makes the most dangerous decision of his career Wednesday morning. He contacts Sarah Mitchell from his personal phone, bypassing department protocols. "We need to meet. I have something that changes everything." They meet at a parking garage downtown, away from police surveillance. Wilson carries a manila envelope that could destroy his career or save dozens of lives. "I've been recording Hayes for 8 months," he admits quietly. "Everything, every conversation, every planning session, every criminal conspiracy." Sarah's journalism instincts explode with possibilities. "How much evidence do you have?" 47 hours of audio. Hayes planning harassment campaigns, coordinating with dealers, threatening witnesses, bragging about bribing judges. He never suspected internal affairs had a whistleblower. Wilson plays selected clips on his phone. Hayes' voice comes through clearly, discussing protection payments from restaurants and advance warnings about federal raids. The evidence is devastating. "Why are you coming forward now?" "Because what happened to Benjamin Adams happens to somebody every week. Usually people who can't fight back. Kids, immigrants, poor families." Wilson explains his growing disgust with departmental corruption. 23 buried complaints represented 23 traumatized families. Internal affairs had become a cover-up operation rather than an accountability mechanism. "I joined this department to serve communities, not enable criminal enterprises." Sarah documents everything methodically. Wilson's recordings provide prosecutors with smoking gun evidence of conspiracy, racketeering, and civil rights violations. Hayes' own words will convict him. "There's more," Wilson continues. "Other officers are ready to testify. Hayes' behavior disgusts most of the department. We're tired of his corruption making us all look criminal." 3 additional officers approached Wilson privately. Sergeant Michael Torres witnessed Hayes collecting drug money. Officer Jennifer Walsh heard him threatening Benjamin's family. Detective Robert Brown documented falsified police reports covering Hayes' misconduct. Will they testify if they receive federal protection? Absolutely. We want this cancer cut out of our department. Sarah realizes the tide has turned completely. Law enforcement officers are joining the fight against Hayes rather than protecting him. His corruption network is collapsing from within. That afternoon, Marcus Johnson receives an unexpected phone call from Benjamin Adams personally. "Mr. Johnson, I understand Hayes victimized you 3 years ago. I want to help you get justice." Marcus initially hesitates. His previous attempts to file complaints resulted in intimidation and threats. But Benjamin's resources and federal backing changed the equation dramatically. "What kind of help?" "Legal representation, financial support, protection from retaliation. Everything you needed before that wasn't available." Within hours, Marcus agrees to testify before federal grand juries. His detailed testimony about Hayes' assault and racial intimidation provides crucial corroborating evidence. Maria Santos and David Thompson receive similar calls from Benjamin. Both victims agree to participate after receiving guarantees of federal protection and legal support. By Thursday evening, prosecutors possessed overwhelming evidence. Wilson's recordings, multiple officer testimonies, victim statements, financial documentation. Hayes' entire criminal network lies exposed. Benjamin's foundation announces a victim support fund providing legal assistance and financial compensation for Hayes' targets. 12 additional victims come forward within 24 hours. The community rally that seemed impossible becomes unstoppable momentum for justice. Hayes still doesn't understand how completely his world has collapsed. Grand juries convene Monday morning. The final piece falls into place Friday afternoon when FBI specialists crack Hayes' encrypted phone records. What they discover sends shockwaves through prosecutor offices. The anonymous 911 caller wasn't anonymous at all. Phone records reveal the call originated from James Cooper, Hayes' neighbor and longtime friend. Text message exchanges between Cooper and Hayes stretch back 18 months, documenting calculated harassment against Benjamin Adams. "Target acquired," Cooper texted Hayes 3 weeks before the pool incident. "Black tech guy moved in, acting like he owns the neighborhood." Hayes responded immediately. "Time to teach some respect. I'll handle it personally." The text trail exposes their conspiracy in devastating detail. Cooper conducted surveillance on Benjamin's routines. Hayes planned timing to maximize humiliation. They coordinated the anonymous call to create justification for harassment. But the conspiracy runs deeper than neighborly racism. Cooper and Hayes are connected through Judge Patricia Hayes in ways that redefine corruption. Property records show Cooper purchased his house through a shell company owned by Judge Hayes. The purchase price was $200,000 below market value, an obvious kickback for services rendered. Financial investigators trace money flows revealing systematic judicial corruption spanning 5 years. Judge Hayes dismissed cases involving Hayes and 11 officers in exchange for real estate deals, campaign contributions, and cash payments channeled through family trusts. Cooper served as the financial intermediary, laundering judicial bribes through his property development company. His legitimate business provided perfect cover for systematic corruption payments. Agent Rodriguez calls Benjamin with devastating revelations. "Mr. Adams, we've uncovered the most comprehensive police corruption network in Connecticut history. Your incident was the tip of an iceberg involving federal racketeering charges." Benjamin processes the scope of the criminal enterprise his humiliation exposed. 12 corrupt officers, 1 corrupt judge, systematic civil rights violations, money laundering, judicial bribery, witness intimidation. How extensive are the charges? 47 federal counts against Hayes alone. Conspiracy, civil rights violations, racketeering, money laundering, extortion. Judge Hayes faces 32 counts including judicial corruption. Cooper faces 18 counts as financial intermediary. Rodriguez explains federal sentencing guidelines. Hayes faces life imprisonment without parole. Judge Hayes faces 20 to 30 years. Cooper faces 15 to 20 years. The entire network will be dismantled permanently. When do arrests begin? Monday morning. Simultaneous raids across 3 counties. We're moving before they can destroy remaining evidence or flee jurisdiction. That evening, Hayes remains oblivious to his impending arrest. He attends a police union barbecue, accepting congratulations from officers who believe he weathered Benjamin's accusations. Union President Clark assures everyone that rich troublemakers can't intimidate dedicated police work. Hayes jokes with colleagues about putting billionaires in place. He brags about Benjamin's humiliation and suggests similar tactics for handling uppity residents. Unknown to Hayes, 3 officers are wearing FBI recording devices. His admissions of intentional civil rights violations are captured for prosecutors. Judge Patricia Hayes spends Friday evening reviewing case files, unaware that federal agents are documenting her financial transactions and preparing search warrants for her offices and residence. Cooper waters his lawn, watching Benjamin's house through his kitchen window, planning additional harassment tactics he'll never have an opportunity to implement. Sunday night, Benjamin receives final confirmation from Agent Rodriguez. Everything is in place. Hayes, his mother-in-law, and Cooper will be arrested simultaneously Monday at 6 a.m. Media notifications go out at 7 a.m. Benjamin realizes his pool humiliation has become the keystone for dismantling systematic corruption affecting hundreds of victims across multiple counties. Justice doesn't always wear expensive swimwear, but sometimes it takes billionaire resources to demand accountability from those who believe badges place them above the law. Monday morning will bring reckoning for everyone involved. The emergency city council hearing convenes Monday morning in Westfield's packed auditorium. Every seat fills with residents demanding answers about police corruption. Media crews line walls. Federal agents monitor from back rows. Councilwoman Martinez calls the session to order. We're addressing allegations of police misconduct, judicial corruption, and civil rights violations affecting our community. Benjamin Adams sits in the front row with his legal team, Sarah Mitchell, and 3 victims who found courage to speak publicly. Detective Wilson occupies the witness table, evidence boxes beside him. Hayes sits in the defendant section with union attorneys, unaware that FBI arrest warrants await execution at hearing's conclusion. Judge Patricia Hayes watches from the gallery, having recused herself from legal proceedings. Her judicial career effectively ended when federal agents seized financial records. Martinez addresses the packed auditorium. Before testimony begins, citizens should understand the gravity of evidence we'll present. This involves federal crimes spanning jurisdictions and affecting dozens of victims. She calls Benjamin to testify first. Benjamin approaches the microphone with quiet dignity. His voice carries across the silent auditorium without amplification. 3 weeks ago, I was handcuffed at my pool while my daughter watched. Officer Hayes placed his knee on my spine and whispered that my money couldn't protect me. The audience listens in silence as Benjamin describes Hayes' racial intimidation, the conspiracy, and his family's trauma. His testimony focuses on facts, letting evidence speak. But this isn't about my experience. Detective Wilson will present evidence showing 23 families suffered similar abuse. Martinez calls Detective Wilson next. Wilson approaches with recording equipment and documents that will destroy careers. His 20-year service provides credibility defense attorneys cannot attack. I've spent months documenting Officer Hayes' criminal enterprises, drug trafficking protection, systematic extortion, witness intimidation. This hearing will play recordings proving federal crimes. Wilson activates the sophisticated audio system carefully. Hayes' voice fills the entire auditorium, discussing protection payments from drug dealers and advance warnings about federal raids. Gasps echo from audience members as corruption evidence unfolds systematically. That recording was made 6 weeks ago during Hayes' meeting with known drug distributor Anthony Martinez. Hayes received $5,000 in exchange for raid information. More recordings follow. Hayes threatened Benjamin's family. Hayes coordinated with Cooper on harassment campaigns. Hayes bragged about judicial protection from his mother-in-law. The final recording devastates Hayes completely. His voice from Friday's police barbecue, admitting intentional civil rights violations and suggesting similar tactics for intimidating, uppity minority residents. Hayes slumps in his chair as evidence destroys any remaining defense strategies. Martinez calls for public comment. Marcus Johnson approaches the microphone with visible emotion. Hayes destroyed my confidence in police protection. For 3 years, I've been afraid to call 911 during emergencies because I feared Hayes would respond. Maria Santos and David Thompson provide similar testimony about systematic intimidation and harassment that destroyed their faith in law enforcement accountability. At 11:30 precisely, Martinez announces her final decision. Based on overwhelming evidence, this council demands Hayes' immediate termination, federal prosecution, and comprehensive police department reform. The auditorium erupts in thunderous applause as justice finally speaks louder than badges. Federal agents move deliberately toward Hayes with steel handcuffs ready. 6 months later, Westfield County operates under federal oversight with comprehensive police reforms implemented. Body cameras record every interaction. Complaint procedures bypass union interference. External investigators handle misconduct allegations. Officer Daniel Hayes sits in federal prison serving life without parole after pleading guilty to 47 racketeering charges. His corruption network generated over $2 million through systematic extortion. Judge Patricia Hayes received 25 years for judicial corruption after prosecutors proved she dismissed 68 cases for bribes. Cooper received 18 years as a financial intermediary. Union President Robert Clark faces trial next month on conspiracy charges. His protection racket enabled systematic civil rights violations. Benjamin Adams established the Police Accountability Foundation with $10 million. The foundation provides legal assistance and victim support. 12 police departments request oversight programs. Emma Adams swims in their pool again without nightmares. She understands her father fought for justice when powerful people tried hurting their family. Sarah Mitchell won a Pulitzer Prize for exposing police corruption. Her fellowship program trains journalists investigating law enforcement misconduct. Detective Wilson leads Westfield County's new Internal Affairs Division with federal backing. Money couldn't buy immunity from handcuffs that summer afternoon, but truth bought justice for everyone who believed badges placed them above law. When power meets accountability, integrity wins. Subscribe if you believe accountability protects communities. Share this story if you've witnessed injustices demanding exposure.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.